Hey, here we are again. I need to declare something right up front here. Okay. This particular momentum moment goes into the night I try to end my life. So if you're not in a place to hear that right now, skip it and come back later. A while back, I came in from a trail run and I walked into this house, and there's a fireplace with a mirror above it. And as I stepped in, I caught a reflection of someone in the house that I didn't recognize. And for a second, everything in me jumped like I was about to have to deal with something. And then I looked again and I realized it was me. And I just stood there staring because I knew it was my face, but it didn't connect. It didn't feel like the person I had been, like something had changed so much that I was looking at my own life from the outside. At that moment, it took me all the way back to a night where everything had come apart in a way that didn't leave anything to grab onto, where every direction I had tried to think through ahead of time led to the same place, and I could not find a version of the future that I believed in anymore. And I had reached a point where wasn't trying to solve anything or fix anything because I already knew I couldn't, and I had already made a decision about what I would do if I ever got there. And that night it got there. I swallowed 2 bottles of pills and I drank on top of it. And I remember sitting there as I started to take hold, aware of what I had done and aware that there was no pulling it back. And I said, God, I don't know if you're ready for me, but here I come. And what sat underneath that was the sense that I had finally stepped into a place that I couldn't come back from, like I had crossed something that even God would leave alone. And I didn't know what I was going to face, but I believed I was about to find out. And I didn't. Years went by before I could even see it clearly. But when I look back now, I can see that God was already there. That's what takes me to Luke 15, because that story isn't just about a son finding his way back. It's about a father who never moved away from him in the first place, because that son took everything he could take and walked out like the relationship didn't matter. And he burned through all of it and ended up in a place that didn't match who he was, carrying things he never was meant to carry. And somewhere in the middle of that, he became aware enough to turn around. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and ran to him, closing the distance before anything could be said or explained, taking hold of him as he was and restoring him in that condition. I didn't understand any of that night, but I understand it now. God wasn't waiting on me to fix anything or get anything right before I came to him. He was waiting on me to stop holding parts of my life back and actually come to him with all of it. Because up until this point, I given him what I was comfortable giving and held on to the rest. And that night there wasn't anything left to hold on to. And after that, things didn't suddenly straighten out for me, but something in me had changed enough that I stopped trying to control every outcome and started asking him what to do instead. And over time, my responses changed, and I began to move differently in situations that used to control me, and there was a steadiness that started to show up and a strength that hadn't been there before. Scripture says that before we call, he answers, and while we are still speaking, he hears. Think about that. Which means he is not reacting to us. He is already present before we turn toward him. And it also says that he works all things together for good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And that purpose is to make us like his son, which means even the things that look like they should disqualify us are not outside of what he is able to work with. I had to walk that out when I was facing charges that were going to put me away for 15 years. And I wanted to fight it because I felt like I had been severely wronged. Everything in me wanted to push back and fight. And instead, I had to lay that down and trust him with the outcome in a way that didn't make sense to me or anyone else at the time. And he handled it. So I'm going to say it straight to you. God was ready for you long before you are ready for him. The moment you turn toward him, you're not starting something new. You're stepping into something he has already been holding open. If you're in that place right now where things have changed, but you don't fully recognize who you are yet, and you're still walking through what's in front of you, just talk to him as you are. You're not too far gone. You're not too late. And you're not standing outside something he hasn't already stepped into. I'm Brandon, and this is your Momentum Moment.